There's a place where the trains no longer run, but something still arrives. You can hear it in the silence between footsteps, a presence that never punched its ticket out. Tonight we take you to a dining room built on departure, where the dead never left, and the living are never quite alone. Welcome to Fear Consortium, your sanctuary of terror. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because once you enter, you won't want to miss what follows. Take a breath and prepare yourself. Nestled in the heart of Ann Arbor, Michigan, sits a building that has watched over the city for 140 years. Constructed in 1886, the Gandy Dancer is known today as one of the most elegant seafood restaurants in the region. Its arched windows, grand stonework, and refined atmosphere draw diners from across the state. The oysters, best in town. The ambiance, unmatched. But beneath the white tablecloths and candlelight, there's something else, something older, something that remembers what this place used to be. Before the wine lists and the dinner reservations, this building was the Michigan Central Railroad Depot, and it wasn't just any station. When it opened, the Ann Arbor Register called it the finest station on the land between Buffalo and Chicago. It was designed by Detroit architect Frederick Spire of the firm Spire and Rose, built in the Richardsonian Romanesque style, heavy stone walls cut from glacial granite, quarantined just up the Huron River. The interior featured stained glass windows, red oak ceilings and trim, French tile floors, and even separate waiting areas for men and women. Outside, ivy crept up the walls, and a fountain sat at the center of a manicured garden. Because back then, a train station was the first impression visitors received of a town. And the visitors came. In 1915, there was 13 Detroit to Chicago passenger trains running through this station every single day. Students flooded the platform at the start and end of every university semester. Musicians, dignitaries, and celebrities passed through its doors. Presidents and political figures made whistle-stop appearances here. Teddy Roosevelt, Grover Cleveland, William Howard Taft, even Winston Churchill. In 1960, both John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon addressed rallies from campaign trains that stopped at this very station. This was a place of movement, of arrival and departure, of life and motion. But during the darkest chapter of the 20th century, the station took on a far more somber role. During World War I, this depot became a receiving point for the deceased. The bodies of fallen soldiers and civilians were brought here, and those that were never claimed were stored in the basement. Let that settle for a moment. Beneath the floor where diners now enjoy surf and turf and Chardonnay, there once lay the forgotten dead, unclaimed, unnamed, waiting for someone who never came. As the automobile rose to dominance, rail travel faded. After World War II, passenger service declined, and the station closed in 1967. The grand old depot sat empty, a monument to a vanished era. Then came Chuck Muir. Muir was a man who left a sales career at IBM to build a restaurant empire that would eventually gross more than $60 million a year. He had a passion for historic buildings. He purchased the depot and converted it into a fine dining restaurant, keeping the original stone walls, slate roof, stained glass windows, red oak ceilings, fireplace, and even the old baggage scale. He named his restaurant the Gandy Dancer, a slang term for the railroad laborers who once kept the tracks aligned, moving in rhythm down the line with an iron bar called a gandy. The restaurant opened in 1970. The building was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1975. But the story of the Gandy Dancer doesn't end with a successful renovation. In March of 1993, Chuck Muir, his wife Betty, and their lifelong friends George and Lynn Drummy set sail from the Bahamas on Muir's 40-foot sailboat, the Charlie's Crab. They were headed to Jupiter, Florida. A monster storm, one they'd later call as the storm of the century, pummeled the East Coast. At 4:25 in the morning on March 13th, a call came into the 911 emergency center in Palm Beach County. An operator took the call but couldn't hear nothing but the crackle of static. No scrap of debris, no piece of clothing, no bit of flotsam was ever recovered. Chuck Muir, the man who gave this haunted building its second life, vanished without a trace. Lost to the sea. Lost to the Bermuda Triangle. Some say the man who breathed life back into the dead station meant an eerily fitting end. And now, let's talk about what happens inside those walls after dark. The employees of the Gandy Dancer have stories, lots of them, and they don't whisper about them because they want attention. They whisper because they're afraid. Staff members have reported lights being found physically turned upside down in their fixtures, not flickery, not burned out, but inverted, as if unseen hands reached up and twisted them around deliberately. Glasses have been known to fly off shelves with no explanation. No earthquake, no vibration, no giraffe strong enough to send heavy glassware sailing through the air. Just movement, as if an unseen hand swept them away in frustration or rage. And then there's the man. A mysterious, well-dressed figure has been seen by multiple employees across different years and different shifts walking the hallways. Not a customer, not a colleague, a shape, a silhouette, drifting through corridors that once echoed with the sound of locomotive engines and the heavy footsteps of soldiers who would never return home. He never speaks, he never acknowledges anyone, he simply walks. As if he's still trying to catch a train that departed over a century ago. One staff member described closing up late on a quiet weeknight. They were alone, or so they thought. As they passed through the main dining room, they caught movement in the corner of their vision. A man standing near the old fireplace, dressed in clothing that didn't belong to this century. When they turned to look directly at him, he was gone. But the air where he stood was ice cold. Another employee reported hearing footsteps in the basement, steady, deliberate pacing, on a night when every other staff member was accounted for upstairs. When they opened the basement door and called down, the footsteps stopped, but a feeling of being watched didn't. A bartender working a slow Sunday evening described setting up glasses along the bar top for the following day's service. They stepped into the back for less than a minute. When they returned, every single glass had been moved to the opposite end of the bar, lined up perfectly, as if placed there with care. No one else was in that building. A hostess recalled walking past the old stained glass windows one winter night after closing. She glanced outside and saw what she describes as the reflection of a man standing directly behind her. She spun around. No one was there. But when she looked back at the glass, the reflection was still there, staring. She left the building and refused to close alone again. A server who worked at the Gandy Dancer for several years described an evening when a couple at a corner table flagged him down. They asked who the man was sitting at the empty table near the back hallway. The server turned to look, but there was no one there. The table hadn't been set, no chair had been pulled out, but the couple insisted. They had both seen a man sitting there perfectly still, watching the room. When the server returned to reassure them, they had already asked for the check. They didn't even finish their meal. One of the most unsettling accounts came from a kitchen worker who was doing prep early in the morning before the restaurant opened. He heard the distant sound of a train whistle, not from outside, not from the nearby tracks, but from below, from the basement. A long, low whistle that seemed to vibrate through the stone walls. He set down his knife and stood perfectly still. Then he heard it again, and then nothing. When he told his manager, the manager just nodded. He'd heard it too. And there's a detail that makes the skin crawl if you think about it long enough. Remember, this is the basement where unclaimed bodies were once stored. The dead, waiting in the dark, beneath the feet of travelers who were still among the living. Some say that whatever energy was left behind down there never disappeared. It just waited. And when the building filled with life again, with music, with laughter, with the clink of wine glasses, it woke up. Who is this well-dressed man? A traveler who never reached his destination? A soldier whose body was never claimed? Or could it be Chuck Muir himself, the man who saved this building from ruin, only to vanish into the Atlantic, returning in spirit to the place he loved most? No one knows, and maybe that's the point. The Gandy Dancer still operates today. You can still make reservations, sit down, and enjoy a beautiful meal surrounded by stained glass and century-old stone. But if you go, pay attention. Listen to what's underneath the conversation and the clinking silverware. Watch the corners of the hallways as you walk to the restroom. And whatever you do, don't look too long at the basement door. Because some stations never close, and some passengers never leave. They say if you listen closely at that old station, you can still hear the doors open, but no train ever comes, and no one ever steps off. So tell me, who's been walking those halls all these time? You reached the end of tonight's descent. If what you heard followed you, you're not alone. Be sure to subscribe and stay close, because the darkness never rests, and neither do we. Until next time, keep the lights on and trust your instincts. This has been Fear Consortium, where the fear never truly fades.